Before we begin today's video, I'd like to give a shout out to one of our newest subscribers, Dear. Thank you for subscribing, and welcome to the family. And now on with today's video. Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drahon, and welcome back to Pathfinder Hero Flux. That is Flux, short for fluctuation. In this series, we take characters from across media and bring them into Starfinder 2nd Edition. This was originally going to be a Pathfinder 2nd Edition build, but the more I looked into this character and their history, the more I saw Starfinder aspects. Now, granted, we are going to be seeing a couple of Pathfinder 2nd Edition feats in this build, and it is stated in the newly released GM core for Starfinder that it is a discretion for you dungeon masters out there to allow Pathfinder feats and monsters and weapons to be transferred between the systems, as there's some balancing issues, according to Paizo. Not blatant, just minor details. So it is completely up to you to allow some of these feats into Starfinder 2nd Edition games. I did my best to not include some of the more crazy ones. I am not mechanically balanced person, so I have no idea if these features are overpowered or underpowered for the Starfinder system. I am just trying to get a canonically accurate build for these characters. And today we are looking at Digimon. We've done a lot of Pathfinder builds for Digimon. And today we are going to be doing it for Starfinder. Because like I said, there are some aspects in Starfinder 2nd Edition that fit this character a little bit better. And I am talking about the rogue weapon of the D Brigade, Darkdramon. For some light history, the D Brigade is the Digimon police, the militia of the digital world, the special forces. I guess you could say they're kind of like the ICE agents. They're the riot police. One of the evolutions of the main rookie, Commandramon, actually has a riot shield, while the main Digivolution, Sealsdramon, is like your stereotypical special forces assassin. We actually see that in the Ghost Game anime with a rogue Sealsdramon. But Darkdramon was a perfected weapon that was unfortunately driven to hatred when his programming went haywire. It was programmed, like a lot of the D Brigade, to go against a criminal organization dubbed Bantio, or as we know them, the Banchos, with their leader, Bancho Leomon, being the one Digimon that Darkdramon absolutely hates, and it drives his very Digicore to annihilate Bancho Leomon. It was actually part of this fact that I almost went for the Pathfinder background known as Fated Rival, but I think I'll save that for the Bancho Leomon build. Anyway, like I said, Darkdramon was a failed attempt at creating the ultimate weapon. It's sort of like Mewtwo in a way from the Pokemon franchise. And they later made a different Digimon known as Brigadedramon as a improved version of this ultimate weapon. Brigadedramon is technically a little bit weaker than Darkdramon, even though they are of the same level. But Brigadedramon is only weaker than Darkdramon because he is in more control over his actions, while Darkdramon is more ferocious and wild. He is a rogue program. Now let's go ahead and start things off with the build. Like I said, we need to start things off with Commandramon himself. And we are going with our starting stats of 12 for Dexterity, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma, with Constitution and Strength being a 10. Now, for our ancestry, I wanted to go with this one. It is called the Ikeshti. Little bitty little lizards that had a hive culture, sort of like kobolds in Pathfinder. But I wanted to go with a specific Ikeshti, the experimental Ikeshti. These Ikeshti were rounded up and are being used for, well, experiments. They are biologically altered, which gives them a biotech augmentation. I decided to go with the gill sheath because none of the others really seem to fit. Sure, we could have gone with a dragon breath weapon, but none of those abilities were similar at all to Commandramon's line, as they're more of a gun-focused group. Anyway, let's go ahead and increase our Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence by 2 points. And unfortunately, the Ishki are not very perceptive, so they are going to be dropping that Wisdom back down to a 10. We get starting hit points of 6. We are considered a size small for now. We have a speed of 25 feet and a climbing speed of 15 feet. We get access to Wasteland Survivor, that biotech augmentation that I mentioned earlier, and we also get access to an Ancestry feat. I decided to go with the Broodminder. This honestly seemed fitting for Commandramon, being trained in society, and you get a +2 circumstance bonus on saves to resist becoming fatigued, which is perfect for a military-esque race or subspecies. Like I said, you get trained in society, and you also get extra languages. Common plus your intelligence modifier, which is currently a +2, but I believe that's going to increase shortly. So we're going to hold off on extra languages. Though I would recommend having languages that go around the idea of military. So you'll be able to communicate with foreign military groups, maybe you're going to converse with civilians, something like that. This is totally up to you, and I would recommend working with your dungeon master to best suit whatever military group is sort of prominent in the Starfinder world. What military group decided to take the Ikeshti and experiment on them? Speaking of military, we are going to be taking the background of Trooper, increasing our strength and wisdom each by 2, as well as giving us athletics and warfare lore skills, and the free feat of Barricade. Now for our class. If this was a Pathfinder build, I would have gone with the Gunslinger, but this is not Pathfinder, this is Starfinder. So I decided to go with the Operative, increasing our dexterity by 2 more points. We get additional hit points equal to 8 plus our Constitution modifier. For our Operative specialization, I decided to go with Skirmisher, which gives us the skill feat of Crowd Surfing. And we also get the class feat of Instinctive Aim. For some reason, I forgot to put in these 2 feats into the PowerPoint, but we will be doing the rest of the class and skill feats for this video, so don't worry about that. Now, for our proficiencies, we are proficient in Perception as Expert. We get saving throws trained in Fortitude, and Expert in Reflex and Will. For your skills, I recommend going for Acrobatics, Crafting, Deception, Intimidation, Stealth, and Survival. For your attacks, you are trained in Simple Weapons, Martial Weapons, Advanced Guns, and Unarmed Attacks. And you are an expert in Simple Guns and Martial Guns. In fact, I will be listing some of the weapons that I would recommend using for this Digivolution line when you get to certain levels. For defenses, you are trained in Light Armor and Unarmored Defense, and you get access to the Sharpshooter feature, with your aim using a 1d4. At level 2, we are going with the class feat of Double Tap and the skill feat of Hefty Hauler. At level 3 Operative, we are now experts in acrobatics. We're going to grab the feat of Armor Proficiency, allowing us to be trained in medium armor. A lot of military garb is going to be a little bit heavier than the stereotypical light armor, so this is why I decided to pick that up. We also get access to Focused and Specialized Skill Set, giving us a skill feat that is tied to the Acrobatics skill. So I decided to go with Dive for Cover. Because, you have to dive for cover when the enemy is opening fire on you. Standard military stuff. And also, like I said, the Armor Proficiency is our second skill. If we were to continue getting Armor Proficiency skill feats, no, not skill feats, the Armor Proficiency feat, we would become trained in Heavy Armor, but this is the only one we are going to be doing for this build. At level 4, we are going to go ahead and start referencing Sealsdramon, whose primary weapon is going to be the Assassin Rifle, but of course he's going to be using a knife of some kind. Probably a gigantic knife. I actually didn't look at a lot of the weapons. I just wanted to see what was the best option for Sealsdramon when it came to a firearm. For your class feat, we are going with Devastating Aim and the skill feat of Quick Repair. Your gun might jam at some point, so you need to go ahead and quickly repair that to be able to, get right back into the fight in a good amount of time. At level 5, go ahead and increase your Strength, Dexterity, Wisdom, and Charisma, each by 2. We are now experts in Athletics, and we're going with the Ancestry feat of Works Never Done. We get 2d4 for our aim, we are now a Master Gunner, and we get Urban Operator. At level 6, we get the class feat of Skirmish Strike and the skill feat of Quick Coercion. At level 7, we are now going to reference High Commandramon instead of Sealsdramon, because personally I like High Commandramon more than I like Sealsdramon. He's just more aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. We get expertise in the Intimidation skill. We're going with the feat of Shield Block to reference that riot shield that High Commandramon is using. We also get access to Focused once again, and actually I think that wasn't supposed to be there. Anyway, skipping over Focused, we are going with the specialized skill set of Acrobatic skill feat of Nimble Crawl. And if you are going with the High Commandramon fighting abilities, I would recommend grabbing that Grenade Launcher. Going on to Operative Level 8, the class feat of Captain Dedication. This is a Pathfinder feat, which gives you access to Diplomacy and a free skill feat of Group Coercion. I decided to go with the Captain Dedication feat because High Commandramon is technically in charge of a group of Commandramon, who are lower ranking to High Command. So you basically get a little army of your own strike force to command. You only get one for now, and they are considered to be a minion. This is one of those Pathfinder feats that technically you don't need for the build, but I thought it was appropriate for this particular build since you are a part of the D Brigade. You are a military force, and at this level you are probably going to be in charge of some subordinates. So it makes sense to go with this feat, though you could replace it with another operative feat if you so chose. For your skill feat at level 8, we are going with Powerful Leap. Moving on to level 9, I decided to go with the Ancestry feat of Interriveneer State. This will give our little guy a large size, though it's only going to last for 10 minutes. Oh, no, yeah, transformation lasts for 10 minutes, and you become fatigued for 10 minutes afterwards. But it does give us that large size, and sort of mimics how Digivolution normally works. You Digivolve to a highest state, and after the fight is done, you go back to your regular self. This will change at later levels, as Interriveneer State does have a permanent form. We are Masters in Intimidation, we get Enhanced Exploit and Operative Resilience. At level 10, we're going with the Captain Dedication feat of Leader of All, with the skill feat of Quick Jump. We also get access to another ability score increase, so we are increasing Strength, Constitution, and Wisdom each by 2, while increasing our Dexterity by 1 point. At level 11, we are now experts in diplomacy. We are going with the feat of Breath Control. We now have 3d4s on our aim. We also get On the Move, which increases our movement speed by 5 points. We also get access to Operative Expertise. At level 12, we are going with the class feat of Hair Trigger and the skill feat of Titan Wrestler. At level 13, we are going with the Ancestry feat of Natural Camouflage. In Commandramon's lore, it is stated that Commandramon's scales are given an ability to camouflage with the world around them, with their background, with their environment. So it only made sense to finally get access to this feat, even though we should have had access to something similar a whole lot earlier. You know, like maybe some biotech augmentation. That would have been nice. My feelings aside about this, we are now Masters in Diplomacy, we get access to Light Armor Expertise, and are now a Legendary Gunner. Now we are finally at level 14. We get the class feat of Coordinated Tactics from the Captain Dedication list, and the skill feat of Die Hard. And now we should finally be at Darkdramon, one of our highest level evolutions. And with this new fighting ability, I believe that the Stellar Cannon and the Machine Gun would best work for Darkdramon. And at level 15, let's go ahead and increase our stats. Strength will increase by 2, same with Constitution and Charisma, while Dexterity only increases by 1, rounding it off to a 20. We are now experts in Society. We're going with the feat of Pick Up the Pace. We also get access to Critical Aim, greater weapon specialization, and another specialized skill feat, the acrobatic skill feat of Catfall. Moving on to level 16, we are going with the class feat from Pathfinder again, the Sterling Dynamo. Your body has been given prosthetic limbs, or maybe some extra weaponry. You are now more mechanical than ever before. I really like this dedication feat, and it's the only thing that stayed from my original Pathfinder build other than the Captain Dedication. Like I said, Captain Dedication, not really important. I think the Sterling Dynamo is a bit more important, as it does fit with, well, everything involved with Darkdramon and the D Brigade, since they are cyborgs. You also get access to the skill feat of Intimidating Glare. Moving on to level 17, our ancestry feat is going to be Enlightened Revener. Now we are permanently large, which is perfect. We are now legendary in the Intimidation skill. Our aim now uses 4d4. We get access to Resolve and Tactical Barrage. At level 18, we're going to get access to the class feat of Construct Dynamo. Now our Dynamo is even more powerful, giving us a +1 status bonus to saving throws against magic, and our Dynamo strikes are considered magical. We also get access to the skill feat of Underwater Marauder. I thought it was fitting. You're a military force, kind of makes sense to have some form of water-based combat. Moving on to level 19, we are going with the feat of Numb to Death. Why? Well, unfortunately, according to legend, Darkdramon faced the Bancho team and lost dramatically, and was left for dead. But the D Brigade managed to recover his corpse and decided that they were going to rebuild Darkdramon to become their ultimate weapon, which is how Darkdramon was made. He died, and he was brought back to life, and then immediately escaped to go find Bancho Leomon so he could take them out once and for all. We are masters in acrobatics. We're going to get access to galaxy-renowned incredible senses and light armor mastery. And at level 20, we are going to once again reference the Brigadedramon, but also Darkdramon, as they are roughly the same creature. For Brigadedramon, I recommend getting access to the Stellar Cannon and the Machine Gun once again. For Darkdramon, there is a weapon called the Reality Reaper, which sounded amazing and works perfectly for Darkdramon's weapon. Anyway, level 20, we're going with the class feat of Soaring Dynamo. This gives Brigadedramon and Darkdramon a flying speed equal to our normal walking speed. And we also get access to the skill feat of Lasting Coercion. And I forgot to put in the skill increases. One moment. Alright. For our ability score increases, go ahead and increase your Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma each by 2. And that is all for today's video. What did you think of Darkdramon? Let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know if you want to see a specific character in this series, either in Starfinder or in Pathfinder. And until next time, this has been Drahon, and I am offline.